So our very own Ben Mclaine went on GB News today to discuss the recognition of a Palestinian state with Nana Akua. Now, I don't usually do this, which is a reaction of one of our members going on GB News, but I really had to do it because Nana Akua is horrendous. Now, before we get into the clip, I just want to say she is literally the worst host I've ever seen. Now, we know that GB News is a right-wing, probably actually far-right, ghoul of a channel, right? We know their opinions. But at least if you're going to be on TV, have the veneer, right? Have the optics of pretending to be not biased and balanced. Now, I've been on GB News many times. I've been on with Dawn Neeson. I've been on with Jacob Rees-Mogg. And I have to say, despite my profound disagreements with Jacob Rees-Mogg, he always gives me a fair hearing. He doesn't interrupt me. But there's a reason why I've told the producers that I'm never going to do a show with Nana Akua. I've done it 3 times now, and she does not stop interrupting you. Not only does she stop interrupting you, she tries to shout you down and force propaganda onto the people. And of course, GB News is a propaganda machine, but Nana isn't even subtle about it. So this clip, Ben Mclaine gets kicked off the show because he embarrasses her, and I mean embarrasses her, with truths about Palestine, and she struggled to defend her Israeli Zionist propaganda, which is why she kicked them off. But let's have a look. Let's react to what happens.
Right, let's get the thoughts now of Ben Mclaine, who is editor and contributor at Turn Left Media. Ben, we're recognising this as a Palestinian state. Gary pointed out we don't even know where the boundaries are, the borders, the capital, who will actually run this. Do you think the Keir Starmer's kind of jumping the gun? What will it achieve?
Well, the same accusation would be true of Israel. Like, Israel does not tell us where its boundaries should be. It's a criticism of Israel that goes all the way back to the 1970s, because they are illegally occupying their neighbours. I mean, that is the opinion of the International Court of Justice. They say that Gaza has been illegally occupied since 1967.
Which neighbours, Ben? Israel
Yes.
illegally occupying their neighbours. Which neighbours specifically? Because obviously we're talking about
Syria,
territory here, so we just want to...
the Golan Heights in Syria, and also the West Bank and Gaza, to name but a few.
Now, you could see there she was trying to trip up Ben by saying, oh, but which ones? But obviously, we know what we're talking about. Ben Mclaine knows what he's talking about. So that one didn't work, but it gets a lot worse.
It is, well, I think, frankly, that the genocidal ethno-state that is Israel lost the right to have a say in the process, in the peace process, really, in the day that it murdered Hind Rajab. Hind Rajab, 6 years old, 335 bullets shot into her little body, and her last words to the emergency service worker being, "Please come get me. I'm scared. Don't go. I'm scared." Like, there is no October 7th. There is no. There's nothing in the world that can justify that. There is no.
By the way, this is really good framing from Ben. He's talking about the facts, but he's adding a story in here. You know, Hind Rajab was a small child, and over 300 bullets were found in her, right? Israel murders children all the time. And it's important to make that emotional case, as well as the facts on the ground. So Ben already is doing a masterclass, and the producers at GB News and Nana are thinking, oh God, we haven't just got some milquetoast liberal on, we've got an actual left-winger on. How are we going to make him look bad?
What about the hostages, Ben? What about the hostages? I mean, okay, if you're recognising a Palestinian state, you've got to admit that October the 7th was an awful moment, and that Israel are retaliating because they realise that their neighbours are never, ever going to allow them to live in peace.
So obviously I'll let Ben answer as well, but I'm going to interject. That's a load of rubbish. Whenever it comes to the hostages, right, the Zionist propaganda and the talking points are always about the hostages kept by Hamas. Why don't we ever talk about the hostages that have been kept by Israel? There are children who have been kept by Israel, and this started before the 7th of October. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu has literally said he doesn't care about the hostages. He's probably, most likely, killed his own hostages by bombing Gaza. No one ever speaks about that, do they? So why is it the hostages, hostages, hostages? Also, right, this is another bullshit talking point from Israeli propaganda, because, oh, do you know what? If only Hamas just gave up the hostages, if only they did that, then Israel will stop. What a load of rubbish. First of all, why are Hamas keeping hostages? One, it's a negotiation tactic, and it's because it's their only bargaining chip, right? If they release all the hostages, there is going to be no no stopping Israel. I mean, no one's really stopped Israel anyway, right? But Israel have no excuse to say, well, we don't need to pull back anymore, right? I mean, you've had Israeli politicians literally say genocidal stuff, literally say we want to wipe the earth of Palestinians, want to flatten Gaza. That is their goal. So you think that Hamas giving up their only bargaining chip, which are the hostages, is going to stop that? No.
What I would have liked to have heard was that there'll be a condition with this recognition that you'll perhaps release all the hostages. Would that not have been something that you would have thought Keir Starmer might consider, or no?
When a state is committing genocide, there's you don't start sort of going, well, you've got to give some to the state. Like, you do not trust the Israelis right now.
So the answer is...
And Missing Families Forum also does not trust the hostages. As they said, they wrote on social media, the Israel strike on Qatar a couple of weeks ago shows that every time a deal approaches, Netanyahu sabotages it. If you care about the hostages, you should care about the recognition of a Palestinian state, because that also comes with obligations to recognize Israel's sovereignty. If they want to keep the Palestinian state, then they have to recognize Israel's sovereignty, and that includes not committing the kind of crimes that were committed on October 7th.
You're sounding like a supporter of Hamas.
There we go. There we go. Oh, you must be Hamas. Are you thick, Nana? Right? Did you not listen to anything he said? The last thing he literally said, Ben, was the 7th of October was a crime. He literally said the 7th of October was a crime, and after saying that, you said, you must be a supporter of Hamas. This is insane. Clearly, she didn't hear anything he said. Clearly, she knows nothing. Actually, no, I know for a fact she knows nothing about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Literally nothing. And she thought, I don't know how to respond to these factual points from Ben. What I'm going to do is, you're obviously a Hamas supporter. Like, what a ludicrous thing to say. And of course, people watching this, whether you're left or right, whatever, can see that she's completely unhinged. Like, I mean, most of the time when I watch myself back or watch Ben on GB News, I'm thinking, yeah, it's in front of a right-wing audience. Most of the time they're going to disagree with us simply because we are brought on as the left-wing person, right? I absolutely understand that. But I don't see how anyone can watch that and be like, yeah, this is Nana Queer's the sensible one and Ben's the crazy one. When Ben's coming here with facts and Nana just says, well, you must be Hamas. Absolutely insane.
Just to be clear,
I think that's an absurd thing to say. It's like saying if you support the Good Friday Agreement, you must be a supporter of the IRA.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I said you are sounding.
I know you didn't
say
that.
I said you're sounding.
Oh my God, Nana doesn't know what an analogy is. She's like, I didn't bring up the IRA. Why are you bringing it up? And he's like, it's an example, right? You wouldn't call people IRA sympathizers if you supported the Good Friday Agreement. And she's like, but I didn't say that. And he's like, no, it's an example. Like, oh my God, what is wrong with her? She doesn't know what an analogy is. Oh my God.
Like a supporter of Hamas. See, I would probably listen more to your argument if you were quite staunch about that. At least they could have talked about releasing the hostages instead of going on about the next.
First of all, Nana, you didn't listen to his arguments anyway, as we can see, especially when he literally said that the 7th of October was a crime. And then the first thing you said to that was, you sound like a Hamas supporter. So you're already demonstrating that you're not listening. And of course, you're lying when you're saying, well, I would listen to you if you had said this. No, you completely disagree with Ben. You're on the side of a genocidal state. You're never going to listen to the opposing argument. What I find so funny, right, and I told Ben this when he told me about his appearance today. Whenever you go on Nana Queer's show, when you watch it, right, the little sort of title card comes, and then she goes, welcome to Nana Queer's show. It's the show where there's no comfortable opinions, right? And me or Ben have never said this, but I wish I had. Like, her show is so censorious that she literally interrupts you within 5 seconds if you have an argument that she disagrees with. Like, you can see here how already, and it still hasn't got to the worst part, but you can see how she interrupts him, she interrupts me, anyone who's on the left, straight away, and doesn't let people express their arguments and opinions because she's trying to cancel people's views, right? This isn't a balanced debate where you hear both sides. This is Nana Akua, who is unhinged. I mean, she was on the Jeremy Vine show a couple of years ago and literally said, let's refugees drown, and she was never brought on again. Right, now she's got her own show. This shows how far to the right the political debate is. Like, she's insane. Her political views are insanity. She doesn't want to hear the other side and even debate it. She wants to talk you down and talk you over you. It's a tactic she specifically does, by the way.
The first thing was they took hostages, and they are slaughtering hostages, and Israel retaliated. So if you really wanted to settle this and you wanted to see an end to the bloodshed, you might consider doing the one thing that has been asked of. And if they do that, then Israel don't have an excuse. But having not done that, I'm wondering why they're still holding on to them but wanting recognition.
Well, as the Hostage and Missing Family Forum wrote, every time that they get close to a deal, Israel sabotages it. Israel literally bombed the negotiators. I can't like express to you how mad it is to go, oh yeah, well, Israel wants a deal as well, and then accepts that Israel just bombs the negotiators in a foreign country. That's an illegal strike. It's against international law. There is no justification for that. It's like I really just like, can you imagine if the British decided to like airstrike Dublin during the negotiations of the Good Friday Agreement? It's like it's worth like drawing a parallel here.
I don't think it is.
I can't see a justification for it.
I mean, why isn't it good to draw a parallel here? It's pretty similar. I think Ben is bringing up a very good example, and it's good to use a historical situation where it's kind of already been resolved. And what I mean by that is, well, of course we are on the side of peace. Like, when a terrible atrocity happens, whilst it's happening, you have detractors. You have people that defend it. In the future, when the conflict is sort of resolved, everyone will say they're against this. So in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years' time, everyone will say, oh no, what Israel did is absolutely disgusting. It was a genocide. Of course, that's a lie, because we can literally see right now how people are defending it. And I like that Ben is bringing up an example from something that happened where at least we can all have some kind of consensus. That's why he brings up that example. And it is a good example to use, because once again, if you support the Good Friday Agreement, right, it would literally be the same talking point by saying, well, actually, you're kind of supportive of the IRA. So it's a good example. She's like, oh, I don't know why you bring up that example, because she's clueless, like utterly clueless.
No. I don't think it is. And you know why?
That's your opinion.
Because it was a targeted attack specifically at Hamas, who are being harboured in Qatar. And just to...
Like, does she listen to herself? Oh no, it was a targeted attack at Hamas in Qatar. Like, do you not understand the sentence you said? You're attacking another sovereign country. So that's fine, is it? And first of all, it wasn't a Hamas operative, right? It was the negotiator. So if you're actually interested in peace and interested in getting the hostages back, why would you kill the negotiator? It's because Israel is not interested in the hostages or peace. They want to take over the land, right? Don't listen to me. Listen to the Israeli politicians who are openly saying it. And Nana's going, yeah, no, it's fine. You can absolutely bomb another country. Okay, then. Let's say that, because a lot of people like Nana seem to believe that all the terrorists have come to this country. Let's say an ISIS terrorist escaped the Middle East and came to this country and it was known about it, right? If they bomb this country, would you accept that reasoning? Hey, look, I know we killed loads of innocent people, by the way, and no, we've just massively drummed up tensions between two different states, but we were allowed to bomb the UK because we know there was a terrorist there. Like, do you hear how insane that level of logic is? That kind of logic is what creates world wars and mass instability. That's why we have rules when it comes to war. So she's saying, oh, you can bomb any country you like, actually, because we disagree with that person or they're a bad person. Yeah, you'll say that until it affects us. Until another country bombs us because they were just targeting a bad person. I don't think you'd be supportive of that. I think you'd be like, actually, let's go to war then. Like, she is so thick.
Remind you.
Wait, no.
The UK,
it was the Hamas negotiator. That was their peace negotiator.
Let me finish.
That was their peace negotiator.
The way, by the way, the way she speaks to guests, it's so disgusting. Like, again, I've been inside the studios of GB News. I still go on when I'm asked. You know, I love discussion and debate. I'm absolutely happy for that, and I can definitely tell you that I've had pleasant interactions with pretty much everyone there, even though I really, really disagree with them. You know, when the cameras are off, I'm not there shouting at them. I'm like, oh yeah, thank you for having me on, and whatever. You know, that's just being a human, I guess. But when it comes to Nana, like, you can see the visceral hatred in her. And then she's like, no, let me finish. As if she's, like, speaking to a child. I mean, like, we're 30-something people and she's speaking to other adults like that. It's so fucking patronizing. But also, she's interrupted Ben multiple times. Now, interrupting a guest is absolutely fine sometimes. When you say something factually incorrect and you can have pushback, like no one's against that, right? But she wasn't, one, interrupting him because he said something factually incorrect. She interrupted him to push propaganda of Israel. That's one thing. But two, it's not necessarily interrupting. It's the amount of times she does it and how little time she lets people speak. Now, if you watch, I doubt most of you watch the shows, but if you do, you will see, right, when I'm on the panel debates of her, it's debating her and the guest because she never, ever, ever interrupts the right-wing person because she agrees with them. Now, if you're supposed to be impartial, right, you're supposed to interrupt both if you think there's a good point on either side. But she does propaganda for the right wing because she's just really right wing. And then she turns it around on you and say, don't interrupt me. I mean, GB News literally made an article about me because the last time I was on, she gave me 5 seconds to speak. And I spoke over her because I was giving her the same treatment as she gave me. And she's like, no, I will kick you off the show. And then they wrote an article saying, Nana Akua blasts guest for interrupting, and she says, let me speak. It's insane. Like, she's turned it on its head. She doesn't let other people speak.
Okay. I listened to you.
I mean, I'm willing to... Hang on, you already...
No, you literally didn't listen to him. You don't let him speak, but also you didn't listen to his arguments. Need I remind you again, you literally called Ben a Hamas supporter right after he said the 7th of October was a crime. So you didn't listen to him. You're waiting for your moment to try and deliver Israeli propaganda. And failing, by the way. You do not look good in this whatsoever.
You weren't listening to me.
No,
you already said
you
you weren't
should
listening
wait.
to me.
You should wait till the end of the sentence before you interrupt because you don't know what I'm going to say.
Well, maybe you should take your own advice and wait to the end of Ben's sentence, and then you can interject.
All right?
Do me the same courtesy and I'll do the same to you. That's absolutely fine.
No, because I'm hosting the programme and I've invited you on to talk and I've listened.
I've invited you on the programme so you can listen to my opinions. That's what she's saying, basically. Yeah, you invited someone on to talk, so let them speak and and allow them, by the way, breathing room to give an argument and a debate. Like, the reason why when you're facing Nana, you're already thinking, right, I need to get in my talking points very clearly because you know you're going to be interrupted. Like, if you actually care about discussion and debate, you wouldn't make your guests feel like they have to rush in their answers. You would give them breathing room and time, right? If you want to come back on it, fine, but let them deliver their argument at the best of their ability. Because I think, right, when you're having a debate with someone, you don't want to listen to their worst arguments. You want to listen to their best arguments. So then when you counter their best arguments, it shows that, one, you're a better debater, and two, people are far more informed because they're hearing the best quality debates from both sides. But when it comes to corporate media, and specifically GB News, they don't want to do that.
I'll interject and I'll ask you questions, but at the same token, you can respect.
So you can interrupt me, but
this isn't going to get anywhere, so I'm going to leave it there, Ben. There's no point because you're not listening to anything. Ben Mclaine, thank you very much, editor.
There you go. So she kicked him off because this is why she kicked him off. Ben was eloquently putting the argument to Nana Akua and the audience that Palestinian statehood has been something that should have been needed for a long, long time. Irregardless of negotiations, irregardless of hostages, right? People have the right to self-determination. That's just a fact. And Nana Akua, because she's clueless on the subject, she's clueless on a lot of things, but specifically on this, she didn't have any rebuttal. She didn't know what to say back. So in that instance, when you don't know how to reply to a discussion and debate, if you don't know how to respond and you have nothing to say, the tactic is to frustrate the process. And what she does is she interrupts you really, really quickly to get you pissed off so you can make mistakes and trip up. And then she turns it around and says, hold on a second, don't interrupt me, otherwise I'll kick you off. That is a tactic from a charlatan, from someone who has no idea what they're talking about. They're not confident enough to debate the facts, to have a proper, intelligent conversation. And I know Nana's not alone in this. It's the entire corporate media. But Nana and GB News are just the worst example of it. Instead of having an intelligent conversation, frustrate your guest, interrupt them, get them pissed off. And then, as Ben did, he said, I'm going to extend the same courtesy as you did to me. He interrupts her back, demonstrating this is what it's like when you're constantly interrupted. And then she goes, no, it's my time to speak. I'm going to kick you off because you're not listening to me. You didn't listen to a single thing Ben said. Now, what I love so much about this, whether people watch this on GB News and thought Ben did badly or not or whatever, is immaterial. What is material is that those of us that turn left, that Ben on TV, me on TV, and others on TV have called out the genocide of Palestine, have called out Israeli war crimes. Nana Akua, right, has been on live television denying a genocide, doing propaganda for a genocide state, and we have the receipts. I really, really hope in like 5 years' time she's going to turn around and be like, oh, I was always against this. Well, we show this clip. We will show this clip of her defending the vile, disgusting regime that is Israel, and whether we win or lose debates on the day, there is recordings of me, recordings of Ben, and so many others out there calling out Israeli war crimes, calling out the murders of children and women and babies, ethnically cleansing and starving people. We are on the right side of history of this, and she is not. And that's what I have to say on it, because we have the receipts. Absolutely wild stuff. Good on Ben for putting up with this crap. I mean, he said to me, I'm going to debate anyone. I've said to the producers, I'm not debating Nana. And it's not because I can't debate her. It's because I want to debate. Like, I actually liked having discussion, and I like it when people disagree with me. But there's just no point when she doesn't shut up, let you speak, and then kicks you off the show. So much for no position or views are cancelled. Well, you just cancelled our very own Ben Mclaine for speaking truth to power. But obviously, GB News is on the side of Zionists, genociders, and the oligarchs.